Come take a look with LCTV Channel 66 at Landis Valley Farm Museum, where we learn about the general store, apple butter making, the hurdy-gurdy instrument, soap making, and more. Come take a ride with LCTV and Landis Valley Farm Museum.
My name is Donald, and we're here at Landis Valley Museum for Harvest Days. You're in a country store, and we have many things in here. A lot of it was collected by the Landis brothers. There are some things that have been added since, but it represents the late 1800s, early 1900s. At that time, a country store wasn't just a store. It was a place where people would come and socialize when they came to the store, because you didn't go to the store that often. And we have some very interesting things to look at. Back in the corner here, we have an interesting piece. It's a cigar store Indian. That was the advertisement that you had tobacco products. This happens to be a lady Indian. And down on the shelf back here, we have some pieces. Tobacco was, the Indians introduced tobacco to the white man. And they have different tools for cutting, for chewing tobacco. They would cut a plug of tobacco off, whatever size you wanted, and that's how you paid for it. Up on the shelf, this is our pharmacy section. Also, we have medicines, patent medicine, 1 bottle cures all. If you need your vitamins, we have cod liver oil. Tastes terrible, but they say it was good for you. We have medicine for horses, so you had pretty much what you needed. Here's our favorite dog. It was an advertisement for veterinary medicine. And here we have 1890s wash machine. You pick that up, the metal rod would hold it up, put your washing your water in, push it back, it drops down, you stood there and rocked it back and forth. You didn't have to go get a workout anywhere. You got it right at home. Shovels, wooden shovels. What they did, they tacked a metal edge on it so it didn't wear down so quick. And we have a rack of brooms. We also have the telephone on the wall. You might find a telephone at the doctor's office or a country store. And as you come around, of course, you see the checkerboard in front of the stove. When they come in, they sit down and socialize, talk, and they might play checkers. Now, over here we have some things. Kitchen utensils, all types, cookie cutters, strainers, and if you have some pests around the house, you might need a trap like those that's sitting on the shelf down there. This little stove is not a toy. This was an advertisement that a salesman might carry with him to show what the stove was like. It would have been much too expensive to be a toy. This is a coffee grinder. You put the coffee in the top. It has a drawer down below. These wheels are very heavy, so once you started it turning, it was very easy to turn and grind. And you see a lot of canisters. A lot of things were shipped in metal canisters because they didn't have what like we do today. They didn't package them in plastic or cardboard. And you have an array of dishware. And you see our cash register sitting here. And late 1800s is when cash registers come out. Of course, it only has 3 digits on it, and it only goes up to $9.99. When you went to the store, they didn't have paper bags. They would pull out a sheet of paper, you pull the string, and they wrap it up and package it. And up here we have an array of canned goods came out late 1800s, early 1900s. And here, this is a flour bin. You put your flour on the top and you sift it. Now you get flour today, you don't have to do that, but that would break it down so it wasn't lumpy. And then when you go back over to the other side of the counter, here we have a couple mannequins. And of course, if you want to keep your girlish figure, you wore a corset from a young age. And that's why women had internal problems, because they strapped in so tight. Up here we have bolts of material. It was manufactured clothing was available, but it was very expensive compared to making your own. And then when you come down here, we have shoes. And of course, if you're going to sew, you need Clark's is an old thread company, and that's the way, that was a spool cabinet. But up on the shelf are shoes, all types, some with buttons. Don't lose your button hook or you got a problem. You can't button your shoes. And sitting up here in the front, if you're going to take a bath, you got a pitcher with the water and a basin to watch when you want to take a bath. Hope you enjoyed your tour, and if you have any questions, feel free to ask.
Hello, my name is Michael Irvin. I'm the apple butter guy, the apple butter boiling guy at Landis Valley Farm Museum. We're here in the hotel snitzing apples, and in case you don't know what snitzing apples is all about, we use cooking apples, various varieties, that are peeled and cored and then cut into slices about 3/4 of an inch or 1/4 of an inch thick. Usually they're dried. You see them on market, and you can eat them months, years later. They're very well preserved. We use them right away, so we don't dry them. Usually we're outside under a tent doing this because we have a beautiful day. Today we're in the hotel because it's raining. Meanwhile, we have started a roaring fire at 8 o'clock this morning in a very large copper kettle, and into that we put 18 gallons of cider. We'll boil that for about 4 hours, and at that point the 18 gallons of cider would have reduced or boiled down to 9 gallons. Then we're going to take these schnitz that the people have made, and it's 4 bushels of apples for the 2 days, 2 bushels of apples each day, and begin putting the schnitz into the really heavily boiling apple cider, which is by this point thicker than cider and sweeter than cider because the water's been boiled out. Over a period of about an hour and a half, maybe a bucket full at a time, we put the apples into the boiling cider, and by about 2 o'clock, 2:30, they will have disappeared, and what we'll have in there is a boiling kettle of what looks like apple sauce, same color, maybe even the same consistency. At that point, we put in 30 pounds of granulated sugar, and just in case you're wondering, this is not something that you would have on your diet if you're trying to lose weight or if you're diabetic, because essentially apple butter is 125 quarts of ingredients put into a kettle and boiled down to 25, and what's left is almost all sugar and the pulp of the apples. At about 4:30, when we're done, we simply take the kettle off of the fire, tilt it over, and the hottest job of the day begins, and that is that we dip the apple butter out of the kettle, about 400 degrees, and put it in what we call around here cans. Actually, they're jars, like a bell jar. And the activity is complete. We have a fundraising portion of our apple butter demonstration, which is that we sell apple butter in jars, and we sell a slice of bread with smear case and apple butter on. Probably almost no one knows what smear case is. It's a cheese that is spreadable, like butter. As a matter of fact, smear case or schmierkasse means a cheese that is spreadable. It's an old-time Amish type of cheese that the only way you can get it now is if an Amish lady or gentleman will make it for you. It used to be sold here, but it's no longer sold here. It's made by separating the curds and whey of milk and drying out the curds till they're like a powder, and put some fresh milk in with it, and stir it, and then hang it out to dry. And it's a wonderful, wonderful cheese. But good luck trying to find some. The apple butter boiling is probably one of the oldest and most authentic of the demonstrations that are here. Amish and Mennonite people and some other folks as well have been making apple butter, still do, and it's done the same way as the Amish brought it over from Germany a couple centuries ago. And they still make it the same way, and we still make it the same way. It's usually made, it has to be made by groups of people. We have 20 volunteers here now schnitzing the apples, and we'll be stirring it all afternoon, and so people have to volunteer to stir it. So it's usually done by a Grange organization, a church organization, a Sunday school class, a group of people who get together and do it, and then they take some of the apple butter along home. So that's pretty much what we're doing here at Landis Valley Farm Museum, apple butter boiling demonstration.
I walk it up to Longford City, where Nancy's whiskey I chanced to smell. I thought it fun for to go and taste it. These fine long waters I liked it well.
So this is a hurdy-gurdy, which the French call a vieille à roue, because it's a wheel fiddle. When I turn the crank, that wheel goes around and that's what creates the sound. I have melody strings, which are keys that have tangents that hit onto the string like your fingers going up and down the neck of a violin. Then on top of it you have drones. And when you want to get really fancy, and I hope this works, this is called the trumpet or the dog. Rhythm. They start showing up actually in churches as an instrument called an organistrum in about the 11th century. And it's large enough that it has to be played by two people. It's in the shape of a guitar. One person turns the crank and the other one pulls the levers instead of pushes them. It stays in the church for a long, long time, and originally church music was basically... Whoop, we don't want you. Single note melody. This adds polyphony. It's the first time in Western music that you've got two notes. That type of music is called not organistrum, that's the instrument. Organum. Good. Then you have the black notes of the piano being added in by the influence from the Crusades. So a lot of medieval music has a tendency to sound Arabic. So they really had a profound influence on Western music for a long period of time. Folk musicians, after the church adopts the organ, which has 10 notes, you can play it all at once, these fall more into the favor of the folk musicians and street musicians for folk entertainment. In the 18th century in France, they were an aristocrat's instrument and basically became an art instrument. They had music was written for quartets. You had Handel wrote pieces for them. They became very, very popular until the revolution comes along, which puts a sudden end to that. But it stayed in the hands of folk musicians, and they're still being used all over European cities today. They tend to be a busker or a street musician's instrument. They're used at fairs and festivals, and the reason I started using them was from a William Hogarth print from 1733 called the Suffolk Fair. On one side, there's a fellow there that has a hurdy-gurdy clearly on his back. So they were even here in America. I've had my hands on an original that was from 1775 that was made right here in America, which is very, very rare. But if you look on YouTube, of all places, they still are all over European cities, and there's some fellas that are absolute masters of playing them, and I'm not one of them. I do the best I can. An occasional song and a tune, and just explain what the instrument is, because many people have heard the name of a hurdy-gurdy, but they really don't know what it is or have seen one before. So here it is, the hurdy-gurdy. I'm Robert Molan from Plowville over in Berks County, Pennsylvania, and thank you for coming to Harvest Days.
Come see. Come see. Come see. Come on, come see.
Is there more? My wife and I had ups and downs all through our married life. She said to me one day, Dave, let's stop this sorry sight. Let's went upon the lake. Why?
We're doing natural dyeing at Landis Valley Farm Museum. This piece that I have here is knitted, and it was done with Brazil wood. And each color was gotten by a different process by manipulating the pH of the dye bath. If you take it down to an acidic level, it gives you the salmon colors, and the more alkaline you get to, it goes to the red colors. And this was done with indigo, different shades of indigo. You want to talk about your... This was done with all mushrooms, different types of mushrooms, and Jill knitted this into this lovely scarf. This was done with all sorts of yellows. A lot of plants give you yellow colors. And I do braided rugs, and this was all dyed with natural colors. I'm not sure of all the different things that we use for this. This is all done with indigo. Greens we would over dye. We would start out with a yellow and then put it in indigo to give us a green rather. The purples we would start with probably a cochineal, which is bugs that comes from the southwest from the cactus, and then you over dye that with indigo, and that gives you purple. In our pot right now we have marigolds cooking. That will give us a lovely yellow. And what you have to do before you do your actual dye process is you have to mordant the wool material or the wool yarn. And to mordant wool we use alum and cream of tartar. You cook that for about an hour, just simmer it, and then that allows the dye to adhere to the wool. My name is Barbara Esterly. I'm from Fleetwood, and thank you for coming to Landis Valley Harvest Days.
I'm Jill Giles. I'm from West Lawn.
Steffi, and I'm the soap maker here at Landis Valley. I demonstrate old-fashioned laundry soap that's made from scratch. Several people this morning have thought I'm cooking lunch, but actually I wouldn't recommend that you eat anything that's in my pot. I began this morning with lye and water in the bottom of the kettle, and then I added fat. As the fat melts, I stir the kettle and make sure that the little fat molecules find a lye molecule. They chemically get married and make a soap molecule, and that's how soap was made. Colonial ladies got their lye from wood ashes. Wood ashes were soaked in water, and the water drained off, and that water was used to make soap. The other thing interesting about soap making is that it was always happening in the fall, after you had butchered an animal. Every piece of an animal that's butchered is used, and that's why you made soap. All the fat that wasn't suitable for making into candles or eating was put into the soap kettle. So it's like the ultimate recycling. Something disgusting, the extra fat, something dangerous, the lye, turns out to be something useful and beautiful. Come out to Landis Valley.
I'm Susan Kelleher, and I'm here at Harvest Days at Landis Valley. And my craft today is rye straw basket making. Rye straw was used for this type of coiled basket, which served anywhere from storage to bread raising, bee skeps, any number of things. The rye in particular is used because of its length, its rot resistance, and the feature that keeps insects and mice out of it. So it's coil type, starts in the middle, goes around, raise the sides, and just determine the size and type that you'll be making. These are pretty common and wide use for the bread raising and that type of thing.
Hi, I'm Peggy Galnett, working here at the Tavern at Landis Valley for Harvest Days. We're preparing a chicken that's going to be done in a bake oven, sitting on top of a pile of coals with another pile on top of the lid so that it bakes just like it would in your oven at home. We've also got pies, a grape pie, grape butter, all kinds of fruit pies, apple, and a potato pie that would be used as part of your meal. We're working on some ham and green beans fresh from the garden. We have to go pick them. Tomorrow we'll be serving a pig stomach, which is I refer to as the original boiling bag because the meat and the vegetables are put right inside, and then it's boiled and then fried up and sliced and served. It's a traditional Pennsylvania German meal. And many old-timers look forward to that as a special treat.
What, the dancer here, Keith? Yeah, I see. I went hunting with my buddy Drake on a bright and sunny day. We run into a big old bear and it would not go. Says, powerful baby, we'll need some help, it's clear. I'll run back and get the boys if you'll just keep